Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another shameless plug. Today I am shamelessly plugging Neil's movie channel. Neil, who is in Canada, a friend of the channel, is doing a wonderful series where he's put in a lot of work, a lot of time and effort. He's going through alphabetically directors and their debuts. He's done A to D. So I would urge you to go over and subscribe to his channel and watch the videos, put comments of the director debuts that you have in your collection or you think are the best. I've just made a little list of A to D. I'm not going to carry on with the series, it's Neil's series, and it's his thing, and everybody should go watch his videos and subscribe to his channel, because as I said, it takes a lot of work to put them in. You know, I'm only adding some to the ones that he's already talked about. Again, apologies if he actually had some of these in his list, he probably did. But I'll start with a few A's. This is Alessandro Amenabar's Thesis. He went on to do Open Your Eyes, which was remade with Tom Cruise's Vanilla Sky. This is an Umbrella 4K. I've always had a soft spot for Thesis. It's my favourite snuff movie film about a college student who's doing a media course, strangely enough, and one of her classmates seems to be making snuff films. It's a wonderful little thriller. I would highly recommend. As usual, Umbrella have the collector's edition, but they also just have the slip version, and they also have standard versions, I believe. So that's Thesis for Alessandro Amenabar. And then I'm sure he must have mentioned Wes Anderson's Bottle Rocket. Probably near the bottom of my favourite Wes Anderson films. This was a short that was extended, and it kind of feels like it for me. Obviously Wes Anderson went on to much greater things. Then we've got Andrew Adamson. As usual in animated films, the director is kind of the last person you talk about. This was co-directed by with Vicky Jensen. This is the first Shrek. So this is the one that doesn't have Puss in Boots and obviously suffers greatly for it. Then we're on to Bees and Louis Buñuel's L'Âge d'Or. So this BFI also has in Chien Andalou. Chien Andalou is better than L'Âge d'Or, but that's just my opinion. A film that's finally getting a Blu-ray release from Imprint, which I'll have to pick up at some point. I saw this in a cinema. This is Belgian. From 1992, and this is the controversial Man Bites Dog. 3 directors on this, but 2 of them, Remy Bilvaux and Andre Bonzel. Yeah, I saw this in the cinema, and people did walk out because they were just offended. This is a film about a camera crew, documentary camera crew that follow around essentially a serial killer, but he kills people in lots of different ways. He's kind of like Henry, but he's got a high opinion of himself, thinks he's like a philosopher as well, even though he's just a scumbag psycho. And as the film develops, we the audience as well as the camera crew become complicit in some of his crimes. Obviously not everybody's going to like this. It has a sort of comedy, but it also reminds you this is not funny, and some of the kind of tonal shifts will break your neck. You're laughing along at something and then it cuts to something else and you shouldn't really be laughing, and you feel kind of dirty and need to have a shower after watching it. but it is a moral film in some sense, but it does include one of those things that you're not supposed to put in film. Yeah, so it's wonderful to see this getting a Blu-ray release finally. But this is the Criterion DVD. And I don't know whether he mentioned this, but one of my favourite actors in his directorial debut is Trees Lounge with Steve Buscemi. Just about not necessarily a loser, but somebody who's just letting life go by him. I can understand that. Lots of wonderful little character performances, and Steve Buscemi's wonderful, and that film is on the Grail list of let's have a Blu-ray please. We've also got Peter Bogdanovich's Targets with Boris Karloff. Again, apologies if Neil mentioned some of these, he probably did. But this is a wonderful little film about a legendary actor, and there's a disturbed Vietnam veteran going about shooting people. The actual shooting on like the highway is still, I'm amazed how they actually got away with doing that. Whip It, Drew Barrymore's directorial debut, is lots of fun, starring Ellen Page at the time, with Drew Barrymore, Kirsten Wiig's in it. Again, it's typical kind of sports movie, but it's actually quite wonderful. Marcia Gay Harden has got a great performance as Ellen Page's mum. And then Neil Blomkamp, District 9. Neil Blomkamp is almost more remembered for not being allowed to make his Alien film, because Ridley Scott was doing the prequels instead of letting Blomkamp do his Alien film. But this is a wonderful film set in South Africa about alien apartheid. Then some C's, Jean Cocteau's Blood of a Poet. We also did Testament, D'Orfey and Orphy, and obviously Beauty and the Beast. This is only 51 minutes, but again, some of Cocteau's poetic imagery, living statues, etc. This one's a little bit of a cheat, but not really. Mark Caro had a co-director credit with Jean-Pierre Jeunet before, and they did City of Lost Children as well before they parted ways. So Mark Caro, Delicatessen, one of the greatest soundtracks of all time, which I have on CD. Yeah, this is my favourite post-apocalyptic cannibal film. Donald Camel definitely had his issues, but this is Performance, again co-directed by Nicholas Roeg. This is a film that I kind of liked and respected but didn't really love, but it's one of those films that's grown on me over the years. It's quite wonderful. This is the 4K and Blu-ray by Criterion, Edward Fox and Mick Jagger. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Then Shane Carruth, Primer. This is like one of the lowest budget time travel films you're ever going to see, but it's also quite brilliant. It's also kind of the most low-key time travel film you're ever going to see as well. Again, this is an Umbrella collector's edition. Again, shows if you've got an idea, you don't actually need a lot of money. It did take quite a lot of time to film just because of getting the budget together and finding the time to shoot it. But it proves you don't need $200 million to make a wonderful little time travel film. And again, this one's a slight cheat because obviously he did short films before this, but this is Shivers by Cronenberg, or The Parasite Murders, or They Came From Within. Cronenberg destroys a luxury apartment complex just because everybody gets horny, after having doddy clechters climbing inside them. Oh, almost lost the pile. Next again, the director's probably not that well known, but this is Basil the Mouse Detective, and I don't even know, I'll have to look that up again. It's Ron Clements with a co-director credit, but this was his first go at directing. Then Alex Cox, Repo Man. I have to be honest, I've never been the hugest fan of Repo Man. Great performance by Harry Dean Stanton, of course, and Alex Cox obviously would go on to make lots of other wonderful little films. Mike Cahill, Another Earth, which is such a underrated little film about a girl who kills somebody with her car and is trying to get her life together. In the backdrop, another Earth seems to be heading towards Earth. You know, the usual kind of story. And then I have Pete Docter. I'm sure Neil did mention Pete Docter. This is Monsters Incorporated. Stay away from the sequel. This again, this is a slight cheat because Julia Decarno had a co-directing credit, which I don't have, but this is Raw, and this gives me an opportunity because I didn't actually realise she has a new film out in 2025 called Alpha, so I'll have to check that out at some point. I'm not the biggest fan of Raw either. I much prefer Titan, but Raw's good, but Titan is quite wonderful, and I was actually really happy to see she's got one coming out in 2025 because she is one of the modern directors that I'm keeping an eye on, so it's good to see that she's got another one coming out. Then we've got Michael Dougherty, Trick or Treat. And this is the Arrow 4K. I'd never actually seen Trick or Treat. I know it had a reputation, but it's a wonderful little Halloween anthology film. I didn't even realise Brian Cox was in it, but this is a lot of fun, and probably well worth its reputation. Dougherty would go on to make Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is probably the worst one out of that kind of series, but Trick or Treat is wonderful. And then one for the completists, this is Massimo Dallamano's Bandidos, which is available in one of the Arrow spaghetti western sets. This is a lot of fun, about a man who's wounded in a train robbery, and then runs a kind of carnival sideshow shooting range, and takes a gunslinger under his wing to get revenge. It's a wonderful little film, as all the films are in those Arrow spaghetti western films, box sets. So that's Bandidos by Massimo Dallamano, not to be confused by Dallamani. So that's my ABs, C's and D's, but this isn't about my collection, this is about Neil's movie channel, so I would please urge you to go over to his channel, watch his videos. He does wonderful tribute videos as well, the best tribute videos on YouTube as far as I'm concerned, and he does a lot of good work. He does thrift hauls and things like that. He's a really affable and approachable guy, very intelligent, has lots of film knowledge, and again, this series is a large undertaking, so it would be good if you could go over and support his channel. And I am not being paid for this video, honest. So thanks very much for watching this shameless plug. As I said, I'll leave the link to his videos and his channel down below, and go tell him hello, go tell the Spartans that you're coming or something. Yeah, So thanks very much for watching. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films saying farewell